In the entire region known as the Middle East, there is only one nation where you are promised to live in safety as a Christian. And that just so happens to be Israel. Now, I'm not saying that you can't be Christian in any other country in the Middle Eastern region and, essentially not have to watch for your life. But the odds are there's going to be some sort of impending doom when it comes to your faith, for the simple fact that many of those nations are run by Islamic regimes. They're run by Sharia law. And essentially, when there is an activation of many of these jihadists, you're going to be first on the chopping block. Simple as that. And yet, here we are in the year of our Lord 2025, and Western media and the so-called new media, right, the influencers, etc., are pushing this idea that Christians are being attacked by the Jews. Now, of course, everything is literally the Jews. I mean, you sneezed, it was the Jews. You skipped a breath, the Jews. You tripped, fell on your way out the house, it was the Jews, right? So, of course, it would only make sense that the Christians who are being massacred at scale is not the jihadists who are actually doing it, not the ones committing these atrocities, but it's the Jews. It just makes perfect sense. So, we have this unfolding story, and it's one that I visited the first time around, and, I felt the need to get back into it and give some clarity around some things. But again, also hand the mic over to the fellas who've been doing the work to actually deep dive into this. But as far as what I've researched on my own accord, not the Abrahamic Accords, but my own accord. I know that's real corny. If you get it, you get it. But what I've come to realize is this. When you base your information off of Hamas reportings, when you rely upon the Islamic Brotherhood to direct you as far as where you should receive your information and what is taking place on the ground, you oftentimes find yourself with stories like this one. And the most recent one was, IDF forces are targeting churches. Christians are being targeted by the Jews. Yeah, I know, again, because it sounds crazy to me because I'm forehead deep into this information, right? I'm all the way invested when it comes to what's currently taking place. But maybe for some out there, you may think to yourself, well, is that true? And to that I say, let's find out. So without further ado, let's get into it. Get yourself a little H to the Izzo. Stay hydrated, stay healthy. Let's get into it.
Are you being persecuted at the hands of Jews?
We are persecuted because we are Palestinians. I have no problem with anyone in all the world.
What you are doing here?
We can also coexisting together.
What you are doing here?
We can coexist. Our problem is the occupation. And now our problem, because of the occupation, is the settlers.
Settler violence is all in the news again. The most recent example, or maybe the one you've heard about, is that Jewish shepherds, aka violent hilltop settler youth in the occupied West Bank, burned down a church in the Christian-era village of Taibeh here in Samaria. Well, there might be another side to the story, and today we're asking questions.
Some of those questions are, did they really burn down the church? And a lot of the people in the clips that we're seeing come out of the issues that are play have to do with cows. And the cows being there and
who
things
set
like,
the fire?
Who set the fire? I mean, there's some kind of strange things surrounding this thing. Why is everybody so up in arms about cows being out? And did the cows actually trample into the holy courtyards of the church? And did they actually light the thing down? Guys, some really wild questions. So we're going to go in person to the site and give you the answers right now.
It's free. So we're here in the village of Taibeh, which if you've been following the media recently, you have definitely heard about. So according to the mainstream media...
By the way, utmost respect to these types of folks, man. Shout out to the Israel guys. But these people who are going on the ground, have you been there? In the words of Douglas Murray. Shout out to y'all. Y'all are the realest of the real. Absolutely amazing.
On July 7th, a group of violent radical settlers entered the town of Taipei and set fire to a church and a church cemetery. I'm just going to read you a quote from a statement by the priests of the churches of Taipei. Apparently, there's 3 different denominational churches here. On Monday, July 7th, 2025, settlers deliberately set fire near the town cemetery in the historic church of St. George, dating back to the 5th century, one of the oldest religious landmarks in Palestine. Were it not for the vigilance of local residents and the swift intervention of firefighting teams, the damage could have been far more catastrophic. So not only are they claiming that settlers from nearby deliberately set fire to a church, and a church cemetery, we're standing, I believe, on the edges of the church cemetery, but they are claiming that the fire would have been much worse if firefighting teams and the local community had not come to put it out. So let's go find out what happened.
So just a few points here, just from arriving on the scene. It sounds like from the media that's been put out that a church, like where church services were happening, whereas the active was burned down. Well, that's not the case, first off. It's an ancient ruins from a Byzantine, I believe, church from, 1,000+ years ago. There are active churches, and you can see them right here. We have an active church right in the background, obviously, still up and running. Looks like over there, there's an active church with the big clock tower. That must be 2 of them. There's another one somewhere. So what I'm seeing here is an ancient ruins that weren't burned down. Now, if we look right here, we'll see that some fire got started around the outskirts of this area. This is what's really wild is that this fire is not connected to anything else. Someone lit this fire exactly in this area. This didn't come in from out there. You can tell where the smoke is. They lit a fire here. I saw when we first walked up, there was a small, where they tried to light a fire in the front. It seems like to me as we walk this around the precinct of the old church and the cemetery, we're seeing a bunch of different sites. Hey, I recognize this. This is the angle of which Huckabee was standing when they were looking like this, like, oh, this is the church. Well, that's a little bit of misinformation.
I recently did a video. Hopefully it's out by the time that this one is out, so you have a little bit of reference. But I did a video on, the lies around the so-called starvation, or more specifically that Israel is starving Gazans, blah, blah, blah. That was debunked multitudes of times. As a matter of fact, there was also a story that, IDF forces were rounding people up, tricking them by, having aid out there and then just slaughtering them. The reality of what happened was, according to the cameras that were on site, the other angles that weren't sent to our media outlets brought to you by Hamas, they showed that on certain sites, on most of the sites, there was nothing but essentially people coming to take food, and IDF forces saying, "Hey, please don't steal, don't take too much. There's rations for everybody." And then there was another angle that showed Hamas soldiers targeting their own people. And the so-called Palestinians who were on the ground that day, who could live to talk about it, said that it was Hamas who was doing it. There was a guy who even said, "Thank you, Trump." There was 2 of them. Said, "Thank you, Trump, for sending food," right? Because you got the GAZA humanitarian agency down there. This is the reason why when you hear anything from anyone, you have to ask, how do you know? How do you know? Oh, you know that church was burnt down. How do you know? Well, here's it. How do you know? Because I don't know. Like, again, I don't pretend to know until I know. Like, I've gotten to a place of understanding a conflict, whatever it is. There's still complexities, but I do know that October 7th was an attack by Hamas, was an attack by the very same people who are now being, essentially seen as the victim. I know that. That is a fact. That is irrefutable. Now, we can create all sorts of conspiracy around, etc., but that's the fact. I know that. And so seeing just the imagery of what is here, it is mind-blowing. But again, it shows you that even world leaders, a guy like Huckabee who has love for Israel, that's why he's in the position that he's in as the ambassador, but even a guy like this can be brought down and tricked, not even have any context. You got to ask everybody, how do you know? Even me, how do you know? I'm like, thank you for asking. Let's get into it.
The world thinks that that picture that was taken that was looking at the church that burned down. That's not the church that burned down, guys. Justin, could you just show people what this is? This is a outer terracing on the outside of the church. There's no church right there. That lumber that was burned that looked like the church that burned down is no church that burned down. That's a small little fire, but the church is over there.
Hey guys, don't go anywhere because we have a lot more crazy products of family here in the office. Head over below.
And Jews. We are persecuted because we are Palestinians. We are persecuted because we are Palestinians Christians. We are persecuted because we are Palestinians Muslims. And because we are here.
You're saying all of the above. It's
all
not
of these
only
above.
because you're Christian?
Because we are here. And this place is, it's rooting in this land.
When the word went out, as a Christian myself, I didn't know if I made that clear to you. I heard that there was a church that was burned and a cemetery that was burned, but I came and I walked around the whole thing.
Yeah, here.
And the church itself, the outer wall there,
It's
I
the
saw.
closest to the church, my dear.
Okay, look right here. So we do have fire that touched the outside wall of the cemetery.
It looks like it didn't actually touch any of the graves. If you peek over, you can see the ground a little bit. There's a little bit of black marks on the ground, but even the edge of this closest grave is untouched. Here's the inside of that wall. So
It is amazing to me how even the so-called Palestinian priests play the victim. Like, is it a societal thing? Somebody out there, some folks who are consider themselves as Palestinian with their right mind, of course. What is up with the victim mentality there? Like, this reminds me of leftists in America. You know, the liberal, everything is just woe is me. And I'm being targeted because. Sir, was there an attack on your people on the basis of what you are and who you are? If you say yes, then show me. Because what's going on right now is reaction from what happened to Israelis actually based upon who they are. We can point to the Quran. We can point to doctrine. We can point to the ethos of the people who did it, Hamas. We can point to them. We can say, here's their book. Here's what it says. Here's why they did what they did. We can point to, the Syrians, the Islamic Brotherhood. There. Here's why they are genociding the Druze. There it is. That's why they're doing it. You could probably interview some. The ones who are honest will say, yes. Yes. We are fulfilling prophecy, my friend.
you know that there was evidence of a fire being on the other side of that wall. So now we're looking at the inside of the wall. This is where we started, where we saw the first evidence of the fire, and this is the inside of the wall. That's a dead end, but I don't see any marks of the fire there. No marks of the fire there. I think we can go up here. That's the spot I first showed you guys on the other side of the wall. I think you can come peek through the fence here and see. Yeah, so that's like, you know, the photo you saw of Ambassador Huckabee standing with the church father, looking at the fire, and then it kind of crept up to the wall there.
Yeah, but I'm saying people in their minds around the world, they thought, oh, the church burned down.
But the problem, the tactics of the settlers, it's like this, level by level by level. So we are in the second level of the tactics of the attacks of the settlers. When they saw that there is no one stop them, they will continue to attack more. The same of Kufr Malik, the same of Turmus Aya, the same of everywhere in the surrounding cities.
That sounds like projection. Again, I'm going to let the man cook. That sounds like projection. You know, we're going to push Sharia in stages. We're going to... Interesting.
because we are neighbors. Here it's Kufr Malik there, over there. You can see over Kufr Malik. The settlers have the tactics to raise the attacks up always.
So you're saying
the
you're
first
using
attack
this.
by 2 years ago, the second attack by the cows, the third attack.
I'm sorry. Nah. How did I draw a comparison? You can't be project. 2 years later? No. No, the Islamists just come for you directly. One day, try to wipe your entire thing out. Okay, yeah. This guy, how do we know he's an actual priest? There's some real off about him. And again, I'm going to let him cook. Maybe he's onto something, but 2-year rollout plan for burn.
Those are a big problem.
It's a big problem because it was here. After the prayers of the... You don't see the photos? I will show you.
Of the cows walking here?
Yeah.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm asking you. We're talking about cows. We're talking about... This is a very, very, very small fire. When there's Christians in Syria and everywhere being killed, that's not happening here. Yeah, I saw that.
Decreasing the cows inside the church.
I have to address this because that was a brilliant point. He's trying to draw a parallel of this. There's an attack on Christians by Israeli settlers because he's pointing to a patch of grass that is on fire. We don't even know who did it actually. We do know that there was, a little farm boy, maybe a teenage old cow herder who was out there, and he looked to, help to take the fire out. And then there were others who came together. The Israeli settlers were looking to take the fire out. That's one hell of a way to go if you're trying to eliminate a people based upon who they are. But yet, yes, right now in real time in Syria, in places like Nigeria, you have Christians who are being slaughtered on the simple basis that they are Christian, or i.e. non-Muslims. They're not willing to submit. If you submit, then you likely will spare your life and you will essentially worship their God. So, yeah, that was a perfect way to, because I would love to do this sort of, in real time, real life investigative and speaking to the people on the other side. These guys are doing it in an incredible way where you get to see the BS coming right out of some of these people's mouths. That's honestly the point that I really want to get to, is like, it's so refreshing to actually see the level of, I don't want to say insanity necessarily, but deceit, maybe even self-deceit. Because it can either be one of the two. Either they're deluded within themselves, or they're just outright lying. And I don't want to just pin it on he's just lying for the sake of lying. I really want to hope, the optimist in me is saying that he just, believes what he believes. But again, how do you answer that question of, well, if they're targeting the Christians and trying to take you out, then why aren't they just going for it? That's what the Islamists do. I mean, that's what anybody else who's trying to eliminate a people do, right? They just go for it. They'll just eliminate you. I mean, you can, speak to the Armenians. You can speak to many of the people, maybe the Rwandans or whatever it is. There was no 2 years later, set a little fire, then we come get your cows. No. When it was go time, they just went full blitz.
You are sitting here talking about a cow that got out. It's not every day.
It's every day.
Walking inside the church?
Walking inside the church, among the people, between the houses.
But not on the sacred land of the.
It's a sacred.
The church.
Okay, what do you want? Do you want what? What do you want from my side?
No, what I want to say is that the persecutions here.
Oh, he's a liar.
It's
Never
not a church
mind,
being burned.
folks. He's lying. That's my conclusion. You come to your own. Don't take mine. This dude is actually blatantly lying. That gave me my nervous laugh. Okay.
Right? The church was not burned down.
I don't want to say this is persecution. This is attacks by the settlers.
Yeah.
And as the ambassador Hukabi said, this is attacks against the worship places. It's a terrorist against humanity and God.
So I would
this
call
is
terrorism.
Hukabi, ambassador of America in Israel, said that this attacks, it's a terrorist against humanity and God. Even this worship places for Jews or for Christian
should be
or
protected.
for Muslims.
We can agree.
We have to protect.
We have to agree
So
to protect.
even the cows enter to that. This is bad things for ourselves. This is.
You're saying it's the beginning of something that could be worse.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. But at the same time, we're not sure exactly who lit the fires.
So Justin and Joshua just wanted to go see if they could interview one of the priests here in Taipei. I came back up here to the ruins of the church, which you can see right behind me, and ran into a local from the town here. And then I ran into some other Israelis from Jerusalem. Arabs, I think. I'm not sure. Christians, maybe. But anyways, tried to talk to them. It's called the Israel guys.
Oh, I know.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah? You like it?
I think you are lunatics, but okay.
And then from there, he tried to get the rest of the guys not to talk to me. So the local said he saw the whole story. He has videos, pictures of everything. So I asked him if he would be interviewed. And he said, not on camera. He said, I'll tell you the whole story off camera. And I said, I want to see the videos you have. And he started pulling out his phone a little bit, but the other guys who were being really hateful started yelling at him, don't talk to him, don't talk to him. They just, they're here to tell their lies and everything. So basically he got scared or just decided that it wasn't worth it to talk to me. So I tried my best. I don't know if you caught any of that on camera or not, but I tried hard to get those photos, to get the videos from the other side of the story from a local resident. Tried to get him to tell the story.
I mean, the only reason you would be afraid not to share that data is because it shows the opposite of what you're claiming. There's no other reason you would have to hide. Like just put this in reference. If I claim that my neighbor set my house on fire and I have a video of this happening, but I'm not willing to show you that video, why would I not give that proof? That's evidence in my case. That's going to lead to the outcome that I desire. Why would I not? Unless maybe, just maybe, that footage that I maybe either don't have, so maybe I'm lying, or I'm lying on the other side, which is I do have the footage, but it shows something contrary to what I told you. There's no other reason that would justify you having that information, pictures, etc., and you not showing it. So yeah, that's again a very suspicious situation to me. Again, I've drawn my conclusion, but because I've already dipped into this story prior. But if y'all want to watch the rest of this video, make sure to go check out these dudes' channel. It is obviously worth your while, as you can see. Very, very high quality documentary style. But again, my message is remaining simple when it comes to these matters is, to remain vigilant, not paranoid necessarily, but to be aware, to be discerning, to continue to think for yourself and reason for yourself. And, sometimes we can be so wrapped up in the stories and in the drama and the hoopla that we can't see just what's right in front of us. These guys literally said, okay, let's go check it out. Let's go see it. Oh, wait, that doesn't make sense. And even now that they, stand across from one of the men making these claims, he can't even justify, he can't defend it, at least not thoroughly enough for anybody who has half a brain that is operational to think to themselves, oh yeah, that makes sense. No, he's caught up in a lie. He's caught up in a lie. Now he has to refute his point. Now he has to make a different point, etc. Right? I hope there are no fires being set anywhere, but unfortunately you got kooks all over the place who want to set fires. And again, if you were to look at it as far as, I guess, on a percentage basis, who is the most likely to set fires, to have any sort of act of violence towards non-Muslims in the Middle East? I'll let you sit with that one and come to a conclusion yourself. Till the next time. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace. Aquarius. Where? I've been up for hours, I've been up for days, yeah. Staring at the ceiling, I've been counting strays, yeah. I've been in my feelings, I've been out of mind. I've been getting visions of the other kind. Yeah, I've been up for weeks. I'm in the count of blessings over count of sheep. I can never be the type to limit when it comes to me. I used to be the pleaser for the people. I ain't